Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your boy JD6 here with my man. Shout out to KC Sports Authority. Make sure y'all go check that podcast out, man.
You heard the man. With portal options slimming down, what is Kansas basketball's next move? That's what we're here to discuss tonight. Welcome into the KC Sports Authority podcast. Keegan Russell, JB Merker, Austin Eckert with you guys here. And fellas, it has been a hot minute since we have chatted. It's been a couple of weeks since we've put out an episode.
It's been a couple of weeks since we've gotten KU news.
Yeah, there hasn't been a lot on that front, of course. So there's still not a lot of news, but we definitely want to get into it tonight. Robert, always right there with us when we go live. Appreciate you as always. Welcome in. Whether you're checking us out over here on YouTube live or you are watching this later or catching us over on Spotify, make sure you guys like and subscribe to the podcast, especially here on YouTube. Smash that subscribe button below. Smash the like button too, so more KU fans continue to find our content. But we're excited to be here, talk a little bit KU basketball. We're kind of in the doldrums of the portal off season where there's not a ton of activity going on, but there's still positions of need to fill that we definitely want to get into. A little bit of, I wouldn't say news, but things that are going on enough that could impact Kansas basketball for sure. We've got the early entry of the NBA draft deadline has already happened. And then we've got about a month for guys to test the water. So a little bit slow right now because there's still some of those guys that are testing those waters and we won't know much about them until later on. So definitely going to talk a little bit about that and get into some of the options. JB has compiled a master list, which I'm not going to show here on screen, but we have a master list of transfer portal options, some that are realistic, some that are not realistic, but just kind of a mass list of all that. So we'll touch on a little bit of that. But
I worked really hard on that, by the way.
Did.
It's a big Excel sheet. You don't have to show it, obviously, we won't. But like it's basically just a big Excel sheet showing the name, their previous school, their size, like their how tall they are, and then like their position, and then stats. Like I've got points per game, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals. Like I've got just about everything of relevance to every player listed in there. And a lot of these players don't even have KU on their list.
Yeah.
But did I still type out all their stats? Yes, I did, because I don't know, some form of OCD. But it helps. It helps get a good picture of what's left. And honestly, not a lot.
It is some pickets. But before we talk some KU basketball, it would be quite disappointing if we didn't at least start with all the new Jayhawks that are making their way to the NFL. As I throw up here on screen, if you're watching over on YouTube, we got new Jayhawks in the NFL as well. Of course, Devin Neal and Bryce Cabledew getting drafted. First time KU has had two players drafted in back-to-back seasons in a long time. So shout out to all of these guys on screen here, especially Devin Neal. Super pumped for Dev to get drafted. Fell a little bit further than we thought, but honestly, the Saints was one of the 3 or 4 teams I thought was fantastic fit for him with what he does. So super pumped to see what he does over the summer. Unfortunately, a couple other guys didn't get drafted. It was kind of shocking that Logan Brown didn't get drafted because he was high up on a lot of boards. And then very shocking that both Melo Dotson and Kobe Bryant were left off of draft boards.
Wild.
But all these guys have found a team at least to participate with over the summer. Jared Casey there at the bottom, going to Kansas City, staying here to play for the Chiefs over the summer. And actually, he has a pretty decent shot to have some good competition in over the summer as a kind of backup fullback role, special teams guy. So super pumped about that, but wanted to at least take a few minutes here to just talk about the NFL draft from KU's perspective. Fellas, thoughts on Devin Neal going to the Saints?
Dude, I mean, everyone, let's just get this out of the way. Everyone wanted him to be with the Chiefs. We all wanted it. That move doesn't make any sense. I've heard arguments, but I just don't see how it makes sense when you've got Pacheco, who's clearly going to be our guy, plus Kareem Hunt. I mean, a 1A and 1B situation. And, contracts are a thing, and I get that, and development is a thing, and I get that. And gosh, would I love for him to be a Chief? Absolutely. But I think with the Saints, I mean, obviously Kamara's there, and he's the guy, but he's just getting up there, and this is a good landing spot, like Keegan said, and he can elaborate on that if he feels the need to, but it's a good move, and I do think, at least at least it's not for a team that we actively root against. It's not like he went to the Chargers or the Raiders or Denver,
where a couple other guys are, where it feels like half these other guys are in the AFC West.
I don't want to have a reason to root for these teams, and him going to the Saints, I am totally okay with.
Austin, you got any takes on Devin Neal in a Saints jersey?
I mean, I wasn't really expecting him to go to the Saints out of all the teams I was thinking about in terms of who needed a running back. But if you look at the Saints running back room, they've got Kamara, and then they've got Kendre Miller, I believe, the guy from TCU, who was pretty decent with them. But I think Devin Neal's better than him. So
agreed.
I mean, imagine if Devin Neal can get acclimated to that offense that Kellen Moore is going to install over there in New Orleans. I think he could potentially have a huge impact on the Saints, and who knows, it might be one of the best 1-2 punches that we'll see in the NFL for the next few years. I don't know.
He could be. I mean, Dev's so underrated. He had so much content coming off of his page leading up to the draft, and a lot of coaches coming out and saying things about him. His pre-draft process, he interviewed very well. A lot of scouts were like, "Hey, this is a guy a lot of us are higher on." And he surprises a lot of us because he's not the most burst running back, but he's so elusive. He knows how to break tackles. He knows how to hit the hole. He knows how to be patient and wait for it to open. And I think Dev's going to be fantastic. He's really, really smart. He's going to understand the playbook really well. He's probably going to get some look on special teams early on for sure. But I think he's got a chance to be a good change of pace for a third down back. I think his pass protection, if he picks that up quick, he's going to see the field quite a bit. And we'll have a great opportunity to do something. Some of these other guys, again, don't like some of the teams they went to, but I honestly think Luke Grimm out with the Chargers is a fantastic fit. I think he's going to be a guy that could make the 53-man roster coming out of training camp and being a back-end wide receiver that's definitely special teams guy. But Luke Grimm, to me, is just one of the perfect body types for a slot receiver in the NFL, and I think he's wicked smart. He knows how to run routes very well. He can high point the ball. He's sure hands. I mean, he dropped very, very, very few passes in his time at Kansas, which allowed him to finish top 3 as a all-time wide receiver statistically. So I think Luke Grimm going to the Chargers, hate the team, but love the fit for him. I think he's going to be fantastic. Bryce Cable, the Seahawks probably had one of the bigger steals of the draft when it came to offensive linemen. Cable was listed a lot lower because he was in there as a right tackle, and coming out of the pre-draft, a lot of scouts looked at him and said, wow, his measurables and his athleticism is going to translate super well to guard. So the Seahawks were ecstatic to get him late because he's probably going to play a lot of guard for them, and maybe a swing tackle position too. So I think they got a great fit there. Logan Brown going to Minnesota, another great one. Mello Dotson going to the Raiders. Hate to see it. Love it for him. Hate to see it for the Raiders. But very disappointed that nobody drafted him because I thought he was one of the better cover corners coming into this draft. But I think that means he's going to have a chip on his shoulder this summer. He's going to find a way to get it done. Then, of course, his running mate on the other side, Kobe Bryant, probably one of the biggest snubs of the draft. What's a bigger snub? Kobe Bryant not going drafted or Shedeur dropping to the 5th round?
Oh, no.
It's got to be Kobe, right? It's got to be Kobe.
It's got to be Kobe.
He's going to have a huge chip on his shoulder in summer training camp. Falcons are definitely going to get a good one there. JB Brown's getting an opportunity with the Broncos over the summer to see where he can mix in with them. I think he's also got a decent opportunity. The Broncos like rangy linebackers that can cover, and I think JB Brown's at a good spot there. Quentin Skinner, I thought, was an interesting one to the Jets. They definitely could use some wide receiver help. They could use a deep threat down the field. It'd be interesting to see how he does over the summer too. He's got to put on probably a little bit more mass to play in the NFL level, but 6'5", that's a big threat down the field. But yeah. just want to take a second to shout out all those guys on screen. Of course, left them out, but Jeremy Robinson signing with the Bears, gets to play up there with Austin Booker. Have two different KU guys on the line there, assuming Jeremy figures out a way to land on the 53-man roster if he does. But shout out to all those guys. There's a few other guys that didn't get picked up yet that we might see. Cornell Wheeler being one of them. OJ Burrows being another guy that could maybe get a summer camp invite. But yeah, just want to take a second to shout out those guys because this is a lot of KU guys off of one season to find their way into the NFL, and it'd be great to see some of them stick. But okay, boys, let's get into a little bit of basketball talk here. So since we talked last, and I don't believe we mentioned it on the last podcast, but Melvin Council on the team, I think we talked about him. I don't remember if we talked.
We did not.
He signed.
We did not talk since he committed. So
since he committed,
we do have to talk about Melvin.
So he's joined the squad, a real dog, as everybody's already seen. Don't need to spend too much time on that because it's old news now. But you get another athletic guard that's got fight, that's got some physicality, good defender. Not the most efficient scorer or shooter, but a guy that can bring it for sure. So pumped about that. But that still leaves KU with some open holes on this team. We've kind of got a lot of guards now, it feels like, which is good. We need the depth. But we could use some more size on the wing and, of course, need some more options down low because as of this moment, it's Floyd Badunga and freshman Bryson Tiller, complete unknown coming off of injury. So I think we expect some of these moves that what is Kansas's next move? The title of this episode, what's coming? I think we obviously can expect a big man to be added, and then a stretch 3-4 type wing, which we're going to get into some of those targets. Let's start with Melvin Council. Either one of you have anything you want to throw in about his play style or why you like the fit here with Kansas?
I'll chime in here, but I don't know. I don't want to rain on our parade. I know this was a crazy offseason so far, but I, for one, wasn't really excited about Council. I'm like, man, another guard. I don't know. I just kind of – and not even a guard that is really good at shooting. I know shooting is not everything, and I feel like in our last episode, I was, pointing out guys that I was like, oh, this guy 42% from three. Oh, this guy 41. And it probably came off like that's the only statistic I'm looking at. And it's not, but I just wanted to kind of kick it back to you guys and ask, am I crazy for not being super excited about Melvin Council? I don't know. I'm sure he's great. Obviously, he's a Bill Self type of guy. That's what we're all hearing. But what I'm concerned about, I guess, is just I guess it is the lack of shooting, and I'm kind of just concerned that I don't really know what his role is. I mean, he's probably not a starter for us, right? And so I don't know. I mean, you'd have to look at the roster. I got to imagine he's probably not going to start for us. I'm just kind of curious what his role is going to be. Is it going to be similar to maybe like what Shaquille Moore was, where, he would probably throw up some shots, but are we going to use him more of like a defensive pest? I don't know, but you guys tell me.
Austin, you want to take first crack at that?
I mean, that's a good question. I really don't know what his role is going to be. I mean, I could see a world where he ends up starting, but at the same time, I think he'll end up being a bench guy. I mean, Melvin Council's a guy that KU has needed for the past 2 seasons. I mean, I feel like the fan base has really talked about, the team doesn't care. Oh, they don't play with any fire. They don't play with any energy. It's just like, oh, we lost, or we gave up a basket. So what? I feel like Melvin Council is one of those guys that's just
going to take it personally.
Yeah, he's going to take it personally. I mean, you see the Instagram stories that he always posts of him, beating his friends in 1v1 and all that stuff. I mean, I'm excited about him. Obviously some people out there are probably like, oh, I don't know, another guard, but I feel like AJ Storr must have scarred all of us to a point where if we get a transfer guard somewhere, we're going to automatically think, oh, if he's just another AJ Storr, he's not going to be good. So, I mean, do I think he's another AJ Storr? I don't think so. I think this guy is different, and I think he plays with a lot of juice. Yeah. And I mean, whatever role he ends up playing in, I think he'll contribute well.
I think he's a guy that's going to have a larger impact on games without stuffing the stat sheet, I guess. Like, I think he's a guy that he brings such a tenacity and energy. Bill Self said he reminds him somewhat of a Tyshawn Taylor, not necessarily play style or production on the court, but a guy that's going to take it personally when he's out there on the court. He's going to play with passion. He's going to play with energy. He's going to be a vocal leader. He's an experienced guy. He's been there, done that. He can attack the rim. He can get up there in your face and grind it out defensively. So I think he's going to bring a nice little punch to the team that this team hasn't really had. They haven't had a dog at guard. He's a guy that can go get a bucket. He can attack downhill. You're not looking for him to be a big-time scorer, a big-time shot creator, but he's a guy that can just kind of come in and be a pest. I do kind of think there's a lot of Shaq Moore overlap there where he's the defensive presence, losing DeJuan Harris, despite all the negative the fan base had to say about him. When DeJuan was at his best, he was one of the premier on-ball defenders in college basketball, and you don't really have that coming into the season. You don't really know what Darren Peterson's going to be at the college level defensively as a freshman, especially with all the pressure he's going to have on him offensively. So getting a guy like Melvin Council is great for that. Pairing him with Jaden Dawson, who's also a really solid perimeter defender. You get a guy like Trey White who can switch and defend there, and you pair him with one more wing, you've got a pretty good rotation of wings that can defend really well. So I like it a lot. I think he's going to bring a lot of fire and tenacity. I think he's also a guy that could have games where he could take over and have a large impact. Not as great of a shooter or scorer as Malik Newman, but I can think of times where Malik just took a game over for a few possessions. You got the ball in his hands, and he found a way to get a bucket. I think Council can do some of that with his experience. He can dribble some, he can pass some, he can attack. I think he's going to be a really strong role player. I kind of think different position, but kind of what Kevin Young brought as a role player at the 4 spot and 5 spot, where he's going to come in there, he's going to do his job. He's not going to, wow you offensively, but he's going to have games where he makes a huge impact. So I like the move for sure. I think KU's got a nice little rotation going in the backcourt. I think as of right now, I think if the season started tomorrow, the question is, does he start at the 2? Does he start at the 3 and Trey White at the 4 with Jaden Dawson at the 2? Doesn't matter. We still got a long ways to go, but I think he's definitely going to be a guy that plays a significant factor for this team for sure. But other targets that we're looking at, obviously the biggest name probably out there that Kansas has been linked to is Darian Williams from Texas Tech. It's been kind of hush-hush for a while on him. Obviously KU is very strongly interested, and there's been debate on, was there some money between Travis Goff and Bill Self trying to figure out how to get that done? What are you saying over there?
I said I'm strongly interested. I know a thing or two about Darian,
We should be. Yeah,
it's not like I watch Tech too,
But he's probably the most prized guy left.
Austin,
he is testing the NBA draft, so it'll be a couple weeks until we know what he's doing. His first preference is to stay in the draft, as most guys who declare for the draft. But if he comes back, I'd be shocked if he leaves the draft and doesn't come to Kansas at this point.
If there's anyone that can speak on the fit that Darian Williams would have with this team, I think Austin's our guy. Why do we want him? He's a little undersized. Convince me, because he's going to be what, like a power forward?
He could be a small ball forward or the starting 3.
So
yeah.
Well, that's the question: is does he play the 3 for us, or does he play? He's listed as like a power forward. So I know what you're listed at doesn't necessarily matter, but I'm just
right.
Sell me if I'm just a little. Let's pretend I'm not like super crazy about him. I am, guys. I just want to let Austin shine here because
we're doing a little role play here. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You want me to sell you Darian Williams? Okay.
Sell me, baby.
Go watch the tape from when KU went to Tech the last time they went to Lubbock and just watch that game. Yes. Is it going to be painful? You bet. However, that guy, Darian Williams, put up 30 points, didn't miss a single shot. He had 11 rebounds, 30 points. I believe he knocked down 4 3-pointers. He was on fire. If you want to get all excited about the thought of Darian Williams becoming a Jayhawk, and if you're willing to forgive him, go back and watch the tape from KU's last matchup in Lubbock.
Oh God.
Well, 100%. He torched us. And he played pretty well against us this year,
Yeah.
too. Coming off a strong season, I think there's a chance he could go back to Texas Tech if JT Toppin's draft stock. Like, I know JT Toppin's also testing the waters, but most likely coming back for another year.
I think he's coming back.
I think that's
Yeah,
where
he announced he was coming back
Okay.
for another season.
Okay, then forget that scenario. But he would be a fantastic addition. I think similar to Kevin McCullough in the sense of a guy that's going to be physical. He's going to play aggressive. He's going to have an impact on both sides of the ball. I think he's got a higher upside than Kevin McCullough did offensively. Better shooter, better scorer. Before Kevin's final year. But Darian Williams would be fantastic. Unfortunately, we're just going to have to wait a few weeks because he's good enough that the NBA is going to take a long look at him and he's going to take a long look at them. But depending on what KU's NIL offer is, there's a really good shot he comes back. And he's probably numero uno on the board right now as most important target. I think you get Darian Williams, Trey White's probably starting at the 4, and you're going with a not positionless basketball per se, but you have a 1 through 4 that can switch and play good defense with a rim running big like Floyd be doing it. You've got a lot of athleticism there, and Darian Williams will also be kind of that defensive anchor of sorts too to play alongside. So definitely huge on him. KU fans should be super pumped about him. A couple other guys KU was linked to that they didn't follow through on and end up with have led them to this point where Darian Williams is probably target number 1. Outside of that, other guys testing the waters that KU has looked in on but haven't really seen much conversation. We've talked a little bit about RJ Luis out of St. John's as a big wing threat, high quality scorer and shooter. I think at this point he's probably staying in the draft, but there's an outside shot. He comes back to college. And with the way the transfer portal is going, he's going to be highly coveted because there's just not that many options, as you mentioned, JB, to start. But he's another one that I've looked at that would be up there, but just don't know enough. Really, it is the next 3 weeks. It's sitting back and waiting and watching these guys testing the draft waters to see who's most likely to come back. And then I would be very confident that Bill's going to sign at least one guy that'll drop out of the draft. But the other conversation has been international side, for those that have been paying attention to anything KU basketball or happen to be subscribed to some certain other content places that share information. You've heard a lot about international prospects, and that's not just a Kansas thing. It's a college basketball thing because there's just so many guys out there. And the international game has really started to pick up coming to college. Teams like Gonzaga and Purdue really lean heavily into the international side. Illinois this next year has an entire team of international players. So KU's been linked to a couple guys there. One was a center prospect that ended up signing, I think, with North Carolina State earlier this weekend in Paul Mbaya. So they missed out on one prospect there, but they've been linked to a shooting guard wing, Dame Sarr. And as far as I know, he is of no relation to Alex Sarr, high draft pick last year, nor his older brother, Olivier Sarr, that played at Kentucky. But he's a 6'5", 6'6" wing with good upside, super athletic, average to potentially above average shooter the way he projects out, good frame, can attack downhill, can get to the paint. Not the best defender. He's very raw with a lot of his skills. Hasn't played a ton of basketball. The teams he's been playing for in Barcelona, Spain the last couple of years, he's only been averaging 12-ish minutes a game to 15 minutes. So hasn't had a ton of opportunity to really showcase his skill set. So he might not excite you when you look at his stats, but a guy that is certainly capable could come in. KU's been in talks with him. He's also looking at Oregon. I believe he's also still contemplating the draft some, but is definitely a most likely candidate for college basketball. A guy that Bill Self has talked to and that I think would be a good fit here. Might have a lower floor than you would like, I guess, because he's a high ceiling, high upside guy that just needs some developing. So even if he does sign, I don't know how much of an impact he would have year one. But what are your guys' thoughts on Dame Sarr? Are you familiar with his game? What have you been hearing? What do you see? What do you like?
I'll be honest, I'm not too familiar with it. For me, it's kind of like it just comes down to there's two positions we need to fill. It's a wing and it's a backup big. So ultimately, and I think backup big is more important. I don't know. Like the emotions of it and how deep we are into this offseason so far, it's like I look at these portal targets. There's hardly any centers on there anyway, as far as who's remaining, and I'm like, man, I wish we were looking at I wish we had some really popular name, even if it was an international guy. Like I wish we had some popular name that was a center that is okay with being the backup guy to Flory. That's so for me. It's hard to even kind of lock in and think, oh, okay, look at this guy. I don't know if I want a project either. I like that when I hear project, honestly, the first thing that popped in my head was, well, there was a certain project that was on our team 2 years ago that seemed to work out, and that was Johnny Furphy. And he was gosh, I can't speak today. He was an international guy that just ended up working out. And I don't know, does lightning strike twice? I don't know. So, but I don't know how much his game really compares to Furphy. Maybe it does a lot, but that's my main fear is that I don't know. Can we do it again? I feel like we got lucky.
We've done well the last 2 times between him and Svi. So why not? Why not go
with
for a
Svi
third?
too. Oh my gosh!
Real quick on here, JB, because we're gonna take, I guess, a little bit from Ain't No Seats since they don't record ever right now. What did you have for dinner? Jayhawk Edits would love to know. And hey, shout out Jayhawk Edits up here this weekend, taking on some KU baseball action. The Hawks on the field still tearing it up this year, looking fantastic.
So this question kind of scares me because one, I'm like, is there something in my teeth? Like, or like 2, I mean, how much does Jayhawk Edits know about my lifestyle right now? But
let's say, for those who don't know, JB, why don't you just give us a quick, if you don't mind, update on your journey?
Yeah. Well, I'm dieting. For anyone that's unaware, I've been dieting since November. I'm down about 80 something pounds. I'll weigh in tomorrow morning, so we'll see what that looks like. Thank you.
Super proud of you.
For someone who has done this before and gained it back, it doesn't feel like a true victory until at least I get to 100. But like, if you got the weight to lose, that number shouldn't be too hard to get to. I fast on Sundays. So for anyone that the actual answer to that question is I ate nothing. Because I haven't eaten all day. I fast for 36 hours from Saturday night to Monday morning as part of my diet. I weighed in this morning a pound over what I weighed on Monday. I will always do my weigh-ins on Mondays, and I'm like, oh God. But last week, I weighed in 2 pounds over on Sunday morning and lost like 5 pounds in a day by fasting and not really drinking and doing all my steps in my step competition. So we made it work. It's working. That's the process.
So no dinner for JB.
No,
that is intentional.
Dude, I'm so hungry. I'm tired.
That's
probably why I can't speak.
I never know how you do it, man. A 36-hour fast every weekend. It takes a lot of
you get used to the fast. The fast really doesn't scare me. It's just I'm just so tired. I'm ready to go to bed after this. But
we're definitely not going as long as we have in some episodes as of late. Dame Sar, I want to throw this to your guys' way because again, there's not a ton of guys in the portal, but Dame Sar could be an interesting target. If you had to pick though, between a guy like Dame Sar as an unknown, transitioning from Europe to America. Now, the European game has definitely taken a major step up in the last decade or so. Those guys are incredibly skilled. But looking at where Kansas is and what they need, if you were down to a guy like Dame Sar or insert another international shooting prospect, or you could just say, hey, Rakees Passmore decides to come back because Rakees Passmore is also not signed anywhere yet. He's one of the higher ranked guys left in the portal at the wing position. So if you had to take your pick, what direction would you guys want to go? And
awesome.
Those of you watching here or in the comment section, let us know. Would you still take Rakees Passmore back? And quick shout out. We're up to 168 people right now. That's one of the better ones we've had for sure. So appreciate that.
Dope.
majority of you guys are from Twitter right now. So if you haven't, hop over to YouTube real quick, hit that like and subscribe button because that would be gratefully appreciated. And since you are
Nice
watching
plug.
on Twitter, why not just hit the favorite button right now? Let's get from 168 to 500 because we're trying to keep up with these other KU podcasts. And we've got the most subscribers of a KU podcast right now, but we definitely are not carrying the same viewership. So those of you watching, thank you. Let's keep expanding this and growing it because I have a lot of fun doing this, and I have so much I want to get into with this podcast. And the more followers we get, the better. There's a lot of cool things I have on a notepad lined up for some summer content with some fantastic guests that could be coming on over the next few months. So shout out to you guys real quick. Just want to throw that out there. All right, continue. Marquise Passmore or Dame Sarr?
I feel like there's one correct answer, and I want to see if Austin knows what it is.
Dame Sarr.
Oh, come on. What are you talking about? No, it's Marquise. Bro, come on.
Dude,
man.
okay. Well, so JB was talking about Dame Sarr and like, I don't really know a whole lot. I didn't really know a whole lot about Dame Sarr. And then on my phone here, I pulled up some highlights. Let me tell you, this guy might be pretty good.
Have you seen Marquise's highlights? Not from Kansas, but from high school.
Yeah, we have a very lovely short that JB worked on last year.
I worked really hard on that short.
Listen, if you had a chance to take a guy like Dame Sarr from Barcelona, this guy's actually decent. He can shoot the three too. Man,
he's an athletic freak, but so is Marquise Passmore.
I mean, I'm willing to take the chance and risk, doing another, project, if you will. If it doesn't work out, then whoop-de-doo. But I mean, I feel like if Dame Sarr can reach his potential,
I think
he would be really good. I'm just saying, okay, my lights.
He's got a little bit more size, I think, than Keese.
There we go. That's better.
I'd take both. Why not just take? We got space on this roster. But yeah, Dame Sarr would be interesting. There's a small world where you get both Darian Williams and Dame Sarr, and that would be fantastic because you'd have a lot of depth at the wing position, and you have a lot of guys that you could interchange. Now, I think Dame Sarr would probably get the short end of the stick in the rotation from that standpoint because he's a developing piece. But there's a chance you could get both. I'm firmly a believer that the NIL money just magically shows up from anywhere. So I don't think money's an actual concern. All the stuff that was going on the last couple of weeks talking about, is there beef between Bill Self and Travis Goff over money? I don't know how much I was really buying that. I think to me the conversation was, hey, you're asking donors to give you more money to go get this now, but I need to also ask donors to give us more money for football to finish the stadium. So is there going to be donor fatigue giving money left and right when you're going to the same person for money for two different things? So that was probably more of the conversation. Or it was, hey, Bill, if you can get them to agree to give you X amount, can we sneak in an extra couple chunks of change to go towards football as well with the same donor? Hey, do this as a double dipping donation. But I don't think they're going to run out of money ever. I think there's always plenty of money to be had. So why not just go out there and buy up all the talent possible? I think both would be fantastic. I think I'm split between Damon and Keese. I think I'd take Keese just because of the familiarity. But long term, I think the ceiling of Dame is probably higher. International guys just develop really well because they teach the skills of basketball, I think, much better overseas than we do here. And that's a good episode for another day too. The difference between the NBA and the international game, and I guess the international game and the AAU game. I got some hot takes on that, but we can save that for another day. But other guys you guys have been hearing or seeing or would like to see Kansas go after? I really don't have an answer for a big man. Other than oh man, I'm going blank. The kid from Bob Miller from Florida Atlantic. 6'11", 215. He's one of the higher ranked big men left on the board. There's a bunch of guys that are all kind of interchangeable. So I'm not too concerned on that front because I think whoever they get, the hope is he can play 8 to 12 minutes a night, and that Florey's defensive ability picks up to where we're not worried about foul trouble. So I'm not too concerned at who that is necessarily right now. unless there's just no confidence Bryson Tiller could be something that makes an impact. And I'm going to do my own. I want to do an episode on Bryson Tiller coming up here because I don't think he's getting enough love for who he is because we didn't see anything from him this last year. He came in, was hurt right away, and he's recovering. But he had a nice high school tape too to dive into. But yeah, any targets you guys have out there you like?
So you mentioned Baba Miller. I just want to throw out here because I've got my sheet in front of me. So I'm looking through 11.3 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, 2.7 assists, actually pretty decent for a center. He's 6'11", so that's really good. 1.7 blocks per game, which is really nice to see. For anyone that's curious, 34.2% from 3, 34.2. Hey, maybe he can stretch the floor, but I don't know. I'm a little bit worried that he would be looking for a role that is starter or starter. Like that's the big fear. And you could probably argue that about just about anybody in the portal. Maybe they're trying to have a better opportunity with more minutes. That's the point of the transfer portal. But I do think there's still some gems that are hidden in here that are guys that would still be okay with just having a change of scenery, maybe playing a similar role and just for a better team. Maybe they just want to win. And Kansas, I know we've kind of sucked this past year, but traditionally we win some games. So I'm kind of looking at Reese Potter from Maryland.
He was on my list too.
Yeah, I love the defensive scheme that Maryland puts out. Just screams success to me. And I know we didn't really showcase it, but Bill Self is a defensive-minded coach. He really values that effort. We know that he values the effort, and we know that he values rebounding. We know that he values all these things. Reese Potter was a guy that got not super spectacular minutes, 17, a respectable amount of minutes at Maryland. 6.5 points, 3.7 rebounds per game, 1.3 assists. Less than a block per game at 0.7. I mean,
and he was playing numbers, behind a stud in
exactly
for sure.
Exactly, and I think especially at Kansas with how depleted we are in power forward and center. I mean, to have him on the team, he would get a bunch of minutes. I mean, we were talking before about how we don't think Flory would exactly be like a 33-minute type of player for us. Maybe closer to like 28, I would imagine. And then, those other minutes, they got to go somewhere, and they're going to Reese. I think he could be awesome. He's ranked pretty low. The only other thing I didn't mention about him, I was going to say he's ranked pretty low in the transfer portal, but look at this, 7'1". Man, I just love the idea of having a 7-footer, dude. Let's get. I know.
The question is he more mobile than Hunter Dickinson?
I think he can jump higher than Hunter Dickinson. I would hope he can. Yeah, I mean, I'm not like thrown back like, oh, these numbers are great that he put up, and 17 minutes you can't expect the best numbers at all. But I think these numbers scream backup center, and he is someone who can realistically come in and be our backup center. Ironically enough, he's taller than Flory, but that's neither here nor there.
He could probably play alongside him too a little bit.
He could.
Austin, you got anybody you're looking at? Any thoughts on the big man there?
I mean, not really, to be honest with you. I mean, because there's really not a whole lot of bigs available. So, I mean, it's like we either get, Dame Sarr. I mean, somehow, get him, working in a, Flory-like situation where he is the big man. But I mean, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, KU might be, like now is not the time to be dealing with a problem like this, unfortunately. So,
I think we'll see some more guys pop up. There's big men again. I think you want to go after the high-end guys as much as possible, and I think you do that at the wing position. I think a big man's a big man. Like nothing against backup bigs we've had in the past, but Parker Brown was not a high-ranked backup big, and he was serviceable. He was just fine as a backup big, coming in playing 6 to 10 minutes a night.
He was all right.
Mitch Lightfoot was probably one of the better backup 5 men we've had in a long time. Very good role player. So, like, I'm not super concerned that there's not many names left because I think Bill's going to find a guy that can rebound, can be defensive presence, and can at least play well in the pick and roll game or have a little baby hook shot or something to be somewhat of an offensive threat. But JB, you got your list in front of you. I was going to ask you about a guy you've texted us about before. Was it Dr. Bradley?
Yeah,
Is that his name?
I love Dr. Bradley.
Tell us about him.
I didn't bring him up because he's not a center. He's a power forward. He's a 6'8" power forward.
Yeah, small ball 5.
Yeah, from Arkansas Pine Bluff. So not the same Arkansas that has kicked our asses every single year for the past couple of years, and I hate Arkansas now, especially now that they have Coach Cal. Quick tangent. I hated Kentucky more than any other program, and now that's died off because now Coach Cal's at Arkansas. Now I'm starting to hate Arkansas more than anybody. Anyway, but no, Dr. Bradley's from Arkansas Pine Bluff, so small school. He has an incredible stat line. I'm just going to read this off so I don't botch anything. 19.6 points per game, 9.5 rebounds per game, and we're looking at 4.5 assists per game. Like, that's nuts. Okay, he's almost a 20-10 guy, and yet he still distributes the ball. Pretty awesome. 1 block per game, and he can shoot when he needs to. 38% from 3. I mean, is he going to come to Kansas and get those numbers? No. The scheme is not going to be built around Dr. Bradley, but the guy is a baller, and I would love to have him. I don't know how much talk there really is between him and Kansas, but man, that would be a pickup. I would feel great if he just came in. Then if he was like a 4 or 5 for us, that'd be sweet.
He had a massive season because the 2 years before he started a chunk of games his sophomore season, played 17 minutes a game at New Mexico State, 6.5 points a game. But this last year, I mean, he went from 17. He basically doubled his playing time. He started all 18 games that he played 35 minutes a night, took 13 field goal attempts roughly per game, shot 56% from the floor. So pretty efficient numbers there. Doesn't really shoot the 3-ball much. It's funny. He's on a Sports Reference. He's listed as a guard. He's got decent size, 6'8".
He could be our wing.
Some have him anywhere from 185 pounds to 210 pounds. He's a guy that's definitely, I think, growing a little bit. Not your traditional 5-man, but a guy you could play alongside Flory, a guy that's probably interchangeable at the 3 and the 4. That brings a lot of energy and aggressiveness, and I think that's what you're looking for.
He's got good size at 6'8".
How many times did we say this last year? We don't have guys we can go to like when they're getting knocked down, they're going to get back up and throw a punch back. Like, you just didn't have any fight this last year. Every time they got knocked down, they stayed down. And some of these guys we've talked about, they might not be the flashiest of names. They might not have the position that we need them to play for, but they're all guys that are going to put up a fight and have a chip on their shoulder to play aggressive. I think I like Dr. Bradley a lot. I don't know how his fit would be here because I think he wants to continue to enhance his role coming off the season he had. So that might not be the best situation for him, especially if a guy like Darian Williams comes here. But yeah, I like that one there. But yeah, the big man options are quite slim.
Would we
got a guy out of
Mizzou
Mizzou?
Baylor? Oh no!
I'd say Baylor's another one I have on him. Yeah, Baylor was the other. They've got a
Joshua. I'm gonna botch it. It's Joshua Ojian
something like that.
Wuna? I'm so sorry. I'm not good at these names. But no, dude, he's a good option. I mean, he's 6'10", slightly taller than Flory. He got good minutes. I mean, he played almost 25 minutes a game. But he scored 7.5 points, 6.5 rebounds per game. So, he's probably going to have a slightly diminished role here, but I think he'd be great, honestly, because he's from Baylor, dude. I mean, I hate saying this out loud. I trust that Scott Drew knows how to coach very well. Mm-hmm. I trust that being an in-conference player, and specifically a long time in conference, Baylor's been a part of the Big 12 for a very long time. I got to love that move. I would feel – I always feel a little bit hesitation, a little bit when someone from like the Big 10 Trey White, is coming to Kansas and to play in the Big 12, it kind of scares me. I'm not so worried if we're getting a transfer target from another Big 12 school. It's like, okay, they're used to this competition. So hopefully, I don't know if there's any talks, but I mean, hopefully Bill Self has at least made a call. I mean, especially with how desperate we are.
It's like I said, it's been kind of quiet on that front as far as who KU's talking to. I'm sure they're talking to a lot of guys, but again, you go up and down the list of available big men. There's just not a ton that stands out to you to get super pumped about. But that also probably tells you they're going to find somebody because all these guys are relatively similar. I found a few more like small ball guys, but I don't think I'm really interested in a backup 5 being another small guy. It would be funny if Flory just sprouts up 3 inches this year and has the I can't remember who was it going back. They when they got to Kansas, they were like 6'8", and then by their junior year they were like 6'11". It was listed taller. And I can't remember.
Was this recent?
It's in like the last 12 years. I know Czech
swear
was a little
with Flory,
undersized.
though.
No, it was Joel Embiid.
Oh,
Yeah.
No way.
When Embiid signed, he was listed at 6'9" when he signed with Kansas. And he signed early and had a growth spurt because by the time the season started, Tarek Black was 6'9", listed at 6'9", and he was a little taller than Tarek Black. So Embiid definitely sprouted up throughout his freshman year. Maybe Flory has a growth spurt this year and comes in at 6'10", a little bit more size. That'd be great.
Hey, his TikTok says he's 6'10". Okay.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, with shoes on probably.
Oh my god.
He's probably 6. I bet if you took him through the combine right now and did his measurables, he's 6'7.5". Just like how KJ without his shoes on is probably 6'5.5". But this is listed at 6'7", 6'8". And shout out to KJ. Hopefully that knee does recover, because that, again, what a terrible way to end your career at Kansas. But would love to see him get back.
If he didn't go down, we would have won that game. We would have beaten Arkansas. We 100% would have, because he was our best defensive guy. Sorry to bring up old wounds, but we would have.
And then beat St. John's. What?
Yeah, we would have.
We would have lost to St. John's.
Nah, we would have. There was a pathway. We talked about it.
There was a path. The path was open. There was a window, and then it fell apart. Yeah, Texas Tech would have destroyed us. They would have crushed us.
They're a familiar opponent, and we would have beaten them.
JT Toppin wouldn't have been stopped.
We would win.
We would have gotten the best of Tech.
Hunter wouldn't have shown.
He's got to get a rebound by looking directly at the basket. No other.
You know place. What? And we would have beaten Florida. We would have gone to the Final
Oh my
Four.
gosh, we would have lost 115-55 to Florida. Walter Clayton would have gone for 45, and they would have been bad. Again, so glad this season's over. But any other basketball takes you guys have or thoughts you want to get off about the team off season? Noah Shelby's one that we've seen a little bit of video come from some off season practice. The guy can shoot. I don't know how much of a role he's going to play, but again, I think KU has a lot of options at the 1 and 2 spot. To me, number 1 on my board is backup big, even though I would still take the high quality wing, but backup big and a scoring threat from the wing, I think, are the 2 things left on my board that I think we still need to give us more options. I think Trey White is fine, but I think someone to compete with Trey White for minutes at the 3-4 spot would be ideal. And Darian Williams would certainly be that guy.
I just don't want to fill up too much, because moving on to next year, this is the first year that they're doing it. There's going to be a roster limit of 15 players, and there's going to be a scholarship limit of 15. We still have the one self-imposed sanction. So we have personally at KU a max of 14 scholarships. That leaves room for one walk-on. And is it so dumb of me to be like, saying it so, I don't want to see the walk-ons go. I would feel so bad. I want them to stick around, man. I want some of them to stick around at least. So, I mean, it's weird, but we also know that Bill Self is never going to play 15 guys. So, why do we need all all these.
We
spots.
say
don't.
this every year. Hey, this is going to be the year he goes deep in the bench. And then this
no.
year, when we thought that the bench was deep,
Really wasn't.
still couldn't play more than 6 or 7 guys because nobody was worth giving minutes to.
Probably should have played Marquise Passmore more.
Probably should. Yeah,
because then he probably
not
wouldn't have
such
gone
a hot take, but
Well, yeah.
he should have played more. He
He
should
went
not
in
have
the
gotten
portal.
the minutes he got were so bad. It just was not fair to him, and he is talented
Yeah.
enough to. Yeah, I'm going to be watching that one. I have not seen anything on Keys on anything at all, which kind of makes me wonder. Like, hey, K's my primary option, so unless Bill fills these roster spots with A, B, and C, I'm going to keep that door open, and I'm going to quietly look around because I have not seen him linked to anybody yet personally. So maybe there's a good chance he comes back. But yeah, still need a backup big. Maybe we'll talk about Bryson Tiller sometime over the next week and kind of get a look at him. Any other thoughts on basketball?
I think I'm good.
Let's just not be preseason number one. Okay.
Please.
Never again.
Are we even going to be ranked? Like, I don't think.
Oh yeah. We'll be.
Like,
Yeah, we
we'll
will.
be. It's
We're
Derek
going to build a
Peterson.
really good team with all these transfers.
K's going to be a top 5 preseason team because of Darren Peterson, the hype for sure.
Okay, good. Some people might say that's a silly question, but hey, with how bad we were and looking,
there's going to be a lot of question marks for sure on the roster still. But I think the nice thing is that's all of college basketball. So from a ranking perspective, no one's going to look at teams and have question marks. They're going to look at teams and see the potential. That's all the preseason rankings are anyways, potential.
Yeah,
true.
And hopefully Darren Peterson is our Cooper flag. It'd be quite nice.
We were looking at Cedric Howard.
We did, yep, and he
committed to Duke. So he's a
Star signed with North Carolina. So there's another big guy off the board. Henry Vassar signed with North Carolina. There was one other guy we were linked to that also signed in the last week or so. I guess I didn't mention it, but there's the guy out of USC, Dudane, however you say his name, wing from USC, also testing the draft waters, but has been linked to Kansas as a strong possibility. Derek Johnson has a video up on him, locked on Jayhawks. But outside that, it's been slim pickings for basketball for sure.
Only other thing we didn't mention is Rylan Griffin has found a home in Texas A&M. That has happened since we last had a pod.
Playing with Zach Clemens.
We've got AJ.
It's funny. He went back and visited Alabama again, and there was some talk of him going back to Alabama. And
I legit thought he would. I honestly was like, why has he not?
It makes sense. He fits their play style.
Yeah, I'm like, dude. I mean, prove that you should have never left. I guess. I mean, but yeah, he's going to Texas A&M, following Zach Clemens to Texas A&M, AJ Storr to Ole Miss, and we've got Diggy Court to Maryland, and that leaves Marquise Passmore uncommitted. The very last Jayhawk in the portal, he can come back. And my reel that I worked so hard on, it's gonna pay off because, dude, it really did. I need to get back into working.
We probably should do that because those were three of our most views we've ever had were the Flory and the Johnny Furphy one from 2 years ago. All those preseason hypes. So we'll have to get into that. I did want to end just with a couple thoughts on KU football as a whole. Had the chance to, I won't say names on here right now until I can get approval and cleared for some future content, but caught up with a couple KU football players this last week and just kind of talked a little bit about the offseason, preseason, spring, how that went, and talked a little bit about the offense and the wide receiver core specifically and how different that room is going to look going into this year because they graduated a ton. But they brought over Emmanuel Henderson from Alabama. They brought in Levi Wentz from, I'm drawing a blank. I want to say Arizona State, but I'm pretty sure that's wrong. Levi Wentz, upperclassmen. Returning guys, you have Doug Emillion and Keaton Kubeka, both guys that saw some time. Doug Emilion probably has seen the most time in that wide receiver room, but I was able to talk with someone on the office. I said, who's kind of the guy standing out at wide receiver right now? And the general consensus I heard from several of these guys was KU's wide receiver room to them is much deeper than they are going to get credit for. And they think they have one of the deeper wide receiver classes in all of the Big 12 because the top end of that with Henderson and Wentz are incredible. Two guys that could have 1,000-yard seasons, I think. Henderson for sure. But the talk has been that Wentz might be the best, most enjoyable guy to throw to, most fun to throw to. And that Doug Emilion and Keaton Kubeka are also going to have a big step up from last year because there's just more targets available. So excited for what KU football is going to do this upcoming year. It's kind of hard to talk football this time of year for college because there's just not a lot happens. They've picked up some guys in the portal. They had some guys enter the portal. But it'll be summer here before you know it. And not only will the KU guys or the NFL going through rookie minicamp here soon, but KU football, they'll have a little bit of a break, and then it's right into the summer and getting prepped for the season. And looking forward to hopefully Jalen Daniels having a Heisman-type year. And we pick up where the hype left off at the beginning of last year, and knock on wood. Austin, have you done your as you wind down your days on campus? Have you done your routine stadium walk by? Got any updates?
Well, no, but I mean, I did go out there for a little bit today. I took some pictures for graduation. So I've seen a lot of talk on social media about the stadium, though, and how weird it looks to some people. And I think a lot of people out there have forgotten that there are two different phases to this project, and that, of course, halfway through it, it's not going to look finished. It's not finished, number one. And number two, it is going to kind of look weird. And yes, I've seen all the comments out there. Oh, look, this is a PlayStation 5 right next to a Atari gaming console or whatever, Oh my God, And then like there was this one tweet I saw, and it made me want to rip the hair out of my head. But this guy said, "Oh, the interior of the stadium is still old. Oh, and they thought it was going to look like this when apparently it was, the opposite side that was getting renovated." Yeah, and they're like, "Oh," I'm like, "Yeah, O's right. You don't know."
Yeah, they can't do it all at once. I like the Kansas part in the stands. I think that's kind of cool. Hopefully, the stands are the rock chalk. Hopefully the seats are full so you don't have to see it. But that is I always think that's pretty cool.
I went for
do the seats that way.
Yeah, I went for a run one night, and then I ran by the football stadium, and I was curious if they had finished the rock chalk in the seats, and apparently they did that night. And I was like, "Oh my God, that looks so cool!" I mean, I think with the way it looks right now, I mean, it doesn't really look that bad with the old East Side still up, because like if you really think about it, the old East Side is going to be for students and the visiting fans. So I mean, I know some people out there are like, well, I'd rather sit in nicer seats than that, but you're only going to have to deal with it for 1 year. And if you really want them to take that part of the stadium down, then show up to games this upcoming season and show Travis Goff and KU and everybody associated with the project on why maybe they should maybe expand the East Side maybe a little bit bigger than what they originally thought they were going to do for it, or whatever. I mean, so like this is the fan base's shot to show everybody and show them everybody and that's in charge of the project that we're ready for the new East Side to be built, and we're we're going to consistently show up to games. So we'll see what happens.
Yep, lots to look forward to. Definitely need some moolah, some money to come in to keep the project going. They said right now they are on track and they're on budget and all that, but definitely still a long ways to go. Not only just for this season, because the whole thing's not going to be completely done for this season, but done enough that we can be in the stadium for it. But yeah, that's all I got on this one. We'll have some more stuff coming up. For those of you that want more than just KU content, you can catch Chris Tenpenny on here with me. We'll do some Royals talk. We got to do some Chiefs post-draft talk. And then working on some potential trivia competitions for those of you listeners that want to test your sports knowledge. Working on some ideas for that. So some things coming up to do some fun giveaways. Looking forward to that. Oh, and here's John finally at the tail end of the episode, shouting out Austin as he likes to do.
Oh, there he is. Oh, sorry, I should have told you to join sooner.
My true lover.
You have to go back and rewatch. Repost. But yeah, that's all I got. Anything else you guys want to touch on? How about Christian Brown looking dominant in Game 7 last night?
He did have a lot of points like toward the end though. Like he kind of, I don't know, like his points. Like yes, his stat line
definitely got snubbed off of not being a finalist for most improved player. That was a bummer.
That's a real snub. It's not just because we're Kansas guys. Like that's a real legitimate snub to not include him. Wow.
And he's the only KU player in the playoffs, right?
Is he the only one left? Oh my god.
Yeah.
I know the Heat are out, so Wiggins is out. Joel, no. Oh my god.
Yeah, he's the only one that made it to the second round because the Lakers also lost, so Markieff Morris is gone.
Dude, Lakers.
That was something
trash,
I'm gonna have to look that up.
How do you lose that?
Thank God the Timberwolves beat them.
Oh, that was
my team.
That was great.
No, it was not great. It was not great. No,
Anthony Edwards.
I hated it. Look, I like Ant. Like
my goat, Anthony Edwards. I love that man to death. He's the best athlete I've ever seen in my life. I'm just
Michael Jordan 2.0.
Oh, do not. No. LeBron James.
I've been saying that for the past 2 years. Michael Jordan 2.0.
Oh my God. He looks like his son. I'll tell you that.
He does.
I mean, you ever seen their faces side by side?
Him and Jimmy Butler are Michael Jordan's sons that nobody wants to talk about or nobody wants to admit.
I know we're trying to wrap up, but I did see in the comments. Let me preface this by saying I don't know what is up. Like, there's like StreamYard is doing weird things. It's really hard for me to like post comments now. But I was gonna put up Bob. You put up Claude's name in there. He is actually another guy.
Yeah, that was the USC guy.
Yeah, Desmond Claude. Yeah, we were talking about him earlier, but I don't know about that fit. I mean, what's crazy is he's listed as a point guard, but crazy size. Yeah,
good size.
I would love to just have a wing and a big. That's all we need. And then we're done. And then we can keep the rest of the roster for some fan favorite walk-ons.
Well, shoot, Johnny Furphy was a really late summer edition 2 years ago. So you could always find an international prospect like that. And heck, Furphy, I mean, by 2 weeks was starting.
Oh my God.
So you could find that. You could definitely find it. But yeah, that's all I got. Whenever we get Spencer on here, I'll talk some NBA playoffs with him for sure too, because I do have some basketball takes on the NBA front.
I need Spencer to educate you on why LeBron James is the GOAT.
I can't do it. I can see that he might be the best player to ever play the game, but I can't.
You just said it.
I know, but it's not the same thing. Like I would still take Jordan and I would take Kobe.
Here's what I'll say about this. He has Michael Jordan, his aura is the greatest. His aura is, and I hate even using that term, but like that's the best way I can describe it. A lot of people like to point to, and I think this is a legit argument, but like they like to point to the popularity of basketball back in like the 90s when he was playing versus now. And I mean, there's no arguing that Michael Jordan made the game what it is. I'm from Chicago, you guys, okay? I love Michael Jordan. I love the guy. But he's number two to LeBron James because I can't argue the longevity and the scoring records and records after record after record that LeBron James has set. And I'm just look, I mean, I honestly also think LeBron James would win in a one-on-one. I think he's more physically gifted. I think he's stronger. I think he's faster. I think he's bigger. I think he's the best. I prefer someone who's the most overall well-rounded guy. I don't see Michael Jordan putting up the rebound numbers, the assist numbers that LeBron James is. He's the better all-around player.
I think when you get into that debate, the conversation has to be prefaced with what is the criteria for best all time? Because there are aspects of LeBron's game that I would say are far better than Jordan's, and there are aspects of Jordan's game that are far better than LeBron's.
Thank you.
I think there's a lot that goes into the longevity has to be considered for sure.
Thank
Jordan
you.
played deep into his career, but not at the same level LeBron. I mean, LeBron is still in his 40s putting up near triple double stat lines all the time.
Yeah.
Now, the league's much different. They do not play defense today the same way they did in the 90s. I get all that. LeBron's a better shooter than Jordan was because LeBron actually shoots more. But when the game's on the line, man, you're telling me you have to line up the top most, like the 3 best competitors in the history of basketball. Like I'm going Jordan 1.
LeBron has
Kobe
the most
2.
clutch points, literally.
I'd still take
of all
from
time.
the competitor, man. I think that's I don't know.
Also,
I do always wonder this. If they were flipped, if LeBron came first and Jordan came second, would the conversation be different?
Yes, it would.
Say everything else the same. Everything else the same.
Dude, this is my point.
LeBron has his 3-peat, his 2 3-peats with the Bulls, has Pippen and all that, puts up the same stat line. Then Jordan comes along later, little bit smaller guy, but puts up all the stats, doesn't win as many championships, but still does.
I'm
like
telling y'all,
it's
man.
It's the same thing like with football. Like there's a lot of people that just don't want to give Tom Brady the GOAT status as quarterback because he did it after all the other guys. And I think the same thing goes in baseball. People want to say Aaron Judge has some of the most impressive things since Babe Ruth. Well, why can't we just acknowledge that what these guys are doing right now is unmatched in their era? Because I don't think you can do the cross comparisons. Like the closest thing we've seen to Michael Jordan is Kobe Bryant. That is the closest player to ever play the game the way that Michael Jordan does. So how do you compare play styles and all that? LeBron is super talented. He's probably one of the most gifted athletes we've ever seen, and he is very good at what he does. I think if you want to nitpick, there's less to Michael's game you can nitpick than there is LeBron's. And most of it's the off the court stuff and the way LeBron carries himself. You know, he's
well, I don't see I hate that argument.
He's a crybaby, man. He's an excuse maker. Look, Jordan was an excuse maker.
Jordan used to cry to the refs, and the refs changed their calls because
my eye.
There's a literal clip of that happening that is a viral reel. Like it happened, bro. And just think about how nowadays everyone's got their smartphones. They've got a access to posting this online.
Gosh, could you imagine that being around Jordan's time? That would be.
I'm telling y'all, if social media, if smartphones and everything was
that
around,
plays
Jordan
a huge
playing,
factor.
Oh my! Would there be criticism?
Because I even try to go back and watch tape of Jordan now, and I'm like, I can't watch much of it.
It's so grainy.
Yeah,
it's so grainy, poor quality, and that's just how it is.
And now you can get somebody's phone on the sidelines getting better quality than what they had 30 years ago. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's
LeBron's definitely up there. Don't get me wrong. I just think they're different players.
So, and for anyone that is going to bring up titles, you know that you can't bring up titles. How many players are on a team that wins the title?
Otherwise, Bill Russell's the greatest player of all time.
Thank you. Yes. If you're going to say titles actually matter in the argument, look at Bill Russell. End of argument. Like, don't bring up the 6 for 6 in the finals. Who cares? If you're going to bring up 6 for 6 in the finals, I'm going to bring up that he went to the finals more often. That's what
I was going to say. Like, should LeBron be punished for going to the finals more often?
Stat.
No, he shouldn't.
It's a team stat. Also,
he hasn't won as many in that regard.
He's not the only player on the team. The whole team lost, not just LeBron. And you can't. Do I have to go back to first grade where we all learned that there's no I in team? God, I could go on for miles on this. Anyway, I'm just.
How about this though? JJ Redick, epic coaching collapse in the final 2 games of the series, deciding not to play Jackson Hayes, despite the fact. I mean, Jackson Hayes is fine; he's not great, but you were going undersized against Gobert, and he just destroyed you guys. Julius Randle was aggressive, playing all over you. The rotation the Lakers threw out there made absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. It was very disappointing to see that from him because his post-game press conference did not go well too, where they asked him, how often do you like listen to your coach's advice and things like, as if like he's saying, hey, you're a new coach, you've never been here. Do you lean into your coach? He's like, I always lean into my coaches. What are you trying to say? He's like, well, just kind of curious about the rotation decisions you guys had or the lack thereof rotations, because Dalton Connect didn't play. They could have used a floor spacer. Jackson Hayes didn't play. They definitely could have used size. Heck, Christian Coloco gives them size, and instead they went small ball and got torched for it.
Epic failure.
Yeah, it is.
I'm looking at
the
the
most
coaching.
talented players to ever play the game, and you couldn't get out of a 7-game series. Now, I can't remember who I was listening to, but they said the Lakers were primed to win a 3-game series, but not designed to win a 7-game series.
I believe it.
Luka and LeBron both looked tired. They were missing a lot of shots, and Austin Reeves was non-existent for half the series. But yeah, that was pretty bad on JJ Redick's part as a coach, not making better in-game adjustments, because I thought Minnesota just took it to him, and they looked great. And Anthony Edwards should get more love. To me, he's one of the most valuable players in the league. I just wish he was a more efficient scorer, because he'll go 4 for 17 from 3. But man, when he takes over a game, he takes over. And he looked good.
He did.
Yeah.
I don't have any problems with him. I just why did it have to be against the Lakers, dude? Like I would root for him to go all the way to the
They did it
conference
last.
finals.
Didn't they do it last year to him too?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't.
Anthony Edwards is LeBron's new kryptonite.
No, he's not. Stop it.
Heck yeah.
He's not. No, he's not. No, last year was it Denver? I can't. Who
They
was
beat
it?
the
Denver.
Suns. They beat the Suns last year too.
I'm so bad. with
Beat Denver. We lost to the Mavericks.
Denver.
We lost to Luka.
Oh my god!
And then we beat Luka next year. So it works out.
Luka's revenge tour didn't really turn out to be quite the revenge tour.
Yeah,
based off of
I
that.
wasn't when they lost, because I had a long term. I took right when the trade happened. I got on FanDuel and threw $10 at the Lakers to win the championship, because it was plus like 1,800 or something ridiculous like that. And then of course it crashed after that, and they couldn't get out of the first round. But all right, we're gonna wrap it up there, because I can hear noise coming from the other room, meaning it's about time to go take care of a small baby. Big baby, growing fast. So we're gonna end there, but appreciate all you guys joining us. You got over 200 people still in here hanging out with us. We appreciate that. Again,
Yes,
if you are one of those 200 people and you're on Twitter, where most of you are, first off, thank you. Make sure you're giving us a follow on Twitter if you haven't done so already. But
Please
come join
do.
us over here on YouTube. Give us a like and a follow on YouTube. Smash the thumbs up button so we can continue to grow the channel over there.
Yeah, we're trying to get to 2K.
2K. We're getting close to the 4,000 hour mark of streamed content over the last year, and the more people that watch on YouTube, the better. So, just when you're at home, hit play. Just turn the volume off, because you've already listened and watched this, and just let it play and boost those ratings for us. But
If any of my emotional bursts in this episode have made you chuckle, please subscribe to us on YouTube.
Yep. And if you guys have ideas
We love JB meltdowns.
Yeah, if we do. JB's hot takes, JB's apologies, JB's meltdowns,
There was no JB apology for the Bill Self stuff, so
No,
you know
wasn't.
what?
There wasn't.
I didn't have
He's
to.
standing tall on his or he's sitting tall on his throne. Yeah, I was right.
Director's chair.
We'll have to save that.
I mean, did he not start? So we were talking, I think, right before the season, and JB was like, I don't know about Self, and then me and Keegan were both like, what are you talking about? Are you crazy? Why would you be saying stuff like that before the season? And then get through the season, and then we're like, well, you know what, JB, I think you probably might have had a point, but it might be me and Keegan's turn to apologize.
Hey, a broken clock is right twice a day. Don't ever say I don't know anything about ball. I know some things. And I'm just saying, I got that one right. That season was a debacle. But Bill Self is on his way out, and I hate to say it.
I've held so much emotion and things during that season. I didn't want to go out and be like, man, we're lacking energy. These guys don't care. I didn't want to say anything like that during the season, because it scared me. But now that it's long over, that might have been the worst basketball team I've seen put together in the Bill Self era, and that's probably the worst basketball
that's right.
team I've seen play for the University of Kansas. I mean, I think about that clip after the 2013 game against TCU, I think, where Bill Self was like, well, this is the worst team that Kansas has ever put on the floor since Dr. Naismith was there. I think we were playing Topeka YMCA and like that. If we lost to Topeka YMCA,
that was like
the
Jamie Dixon's
Girls
first year
Gentlemen's Club. I don't know.
Yeah, that was bad. That was a bad loss on the road. We had no business losing that game.
We had a lot of bad losses.
Anyway,
I will never get over that Missouri loss.
The off-season talk will continue. We'll do some reminiscing of the past games, do some KU what ifs, talk about former players. A lot of fun off-season talk. Yeah, let's wrap up there. Like and subscribe as always. Thank you guys. Give us a follow. Give each of us a follow. Shout out KU Baseball. Go continuing to support them if you're listening. Go to the baseball games as the season wraps up, and because the Hawks they're going to Omaha. It's happening. Go continue.
Well, they got swept by Cincinnati.
They've got.
It's not looking good right now.
Their numbers should carry them over. They got a lot going. But all right, we'll wrap up there officially. Let's get out of here. We appreciate you guys. We'll catch you in the next episode.
Rock chalk.